Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Basil Rathbone inviting you to join me beyond the green door.
Today's story is about Roary Flynn, a daring young astronaut whose great flight into space carried him all the way to Mars. Unfortunately, it also brought him beyond the green door. Flynn's takeoff from Earth went perfectly, and his flight in space was uneventful. But he encountered real difficulties in trying to land his craft. The surface of Mars rushed towards him, and Flynn struggled frantically with the controls. At last he was able to put down safely and to relay his news to Earth. He was on Mars, but he was there in much the same way a bathysphere is on the ocean floor. Flynn's explicit instructions were to stay within his spacecraft in order to avoid any dangers which the planet might offer. He had been told to observe what he could through the thick quartz windows and to blast off at the first sign of danger. It seemed as though every safety precaution had been taken. Flynn looked out, marveling at men's first sight of the flat, grassy plains of Mars. He saw that he had landed in the middle of a shallow depression. What was remarkable about this was the fact that it seemed to have been dug out artificially. Through binoculars, Flynn could see that the sides of the depression were sharp and sheer and barren of any vegetation. The fresh dirt might have been shoveled out just the other day. Oh, this was strange enough, but even stranger was the curious and completely irregular shape of the depression. Since he was under orders not to leave his ship, Flynn had to be content with measuring the dimensions of the depression from within. He was equipped with special survey instruments, and he went to work at once. Flynn couldn't understand why anyone would want to dig a large and apparently worthless hole like this, but he thought it might have something to do with cultural significance. Towards evening, Flynn finished his measurements and marked down the last coordinates on paper. There was a sound of thunder in the distance. He was glad to be sheltered within his reinforced steel walls. He sketched in the lines between coordinates, and the storm came closer and closer. The great crashes were more frequent as Flynn finished his sketch and tried to figure out what it represented. He stared for a long time at what he had drawn. Then he threw down the sketch and reached frantically for the blast-off button. For now he knew that the depression was not man-made, and the sounds outside were not thunder. His finger was almost on the button when the spacecraft was violently jolted, throwing Flynn to the floor. Dazed and horrified, he stared upward and saw the steel walls of the craft slowly and inexorably being crushed in upon him. He had realized too late that the only thing his sketch resembled was an impossibly gigantic footprint.